Hi everyone, welcome back for you who have been here from the beginning. Sorry if I have to go to my iPad, but again, as I told you, it's labeled as for children for some reason and I can't change it. I have to change it every time manually. It makes no sense, I know, but it is what it is. So, and also it's not changing, so what's happening? Anyway, while I do this, so today has been quite a good day actually. There was such a beautiful sorry, I'm not good at multitasking, obviously. There was such a beautiful sky today outside that it inspired me to talk about beauty. But then I realized that it's talking about beauty, I need some examples and things that I can show you. So I'm not going to talk about beauty, but I'm going to talk about how I trust my guts and eyes into understanding what is beautiful for me and for my art. So I managed to change it. Yay! And what I've been doing regarding my necklace. So yesterday I showed you that I had to put some security clasps on this necklace just because, you know, it's quite expensive. It's made of gold and diamonds. Sorry, I wasn't showing it to you. It's made of gold and diamonds, and so the last thing I want would be for somebody to lose it. So this is the clasp, which is completely, you can't see it. You can't see it, but if you're looking at the whole necklace, it's not obvious, you know, you can't really spot it at once. And I put the security clasp here, so, and it's going to have another one here. It's already done. I just need to solder that over here, and then it's going to have these two flying closing mechanisms. I can't do it, unfortunately, while I speak with you, because I need to be like 100% concentrated on it. So I'm just going to clean it up and clean some bits while we chat. So one of the things that I learned, I feel maybe this year, but maybe I've always known, it's just that I realize now, is how much it means for me to trust my guts and my eyes regarding my art. So unfortunately, if you run a small business and a small creative business, you know that you have to wear a lot of hats, like a lot. You have to do so many things, and you have to do your taxes, communication, your prices, your packaging. You have to do everything, which is very creatively demanding, but also is very satisfying in my opinion. Otherwise, I guess I would do another job. But it puts you in a position where you have to make a lot of decisions all the time. And sometimes, you know, when we talk about goldsmithing, I am actually an expert. You know, this is my job. I've been doing this for the last 7 years or so, and I've had this company for the last 3 and a company before that for a year. So I also do a lot of research. I feel like I know what I'm talking about. But all of the other things, like doing my communication or I don't do my website. My partner does it and he knows how to do that. But if I had to do my website, for example, or my taxes, I have an accountant. The packaging, it's not something that I'm an expert in. And when you're the owner of the company, you still have to make those decisions. It's not, nobody else is going to do them for you. Even if it's hard and frustrating and you have no clue. So, yay. So I think one of the things that I learned is trusting my guts. I can't do that for everything, and I told you what I just did just because I want to say that trusting your guts on things you don't know can result in problems. So I wouldn't advise that. But trusting your guts on things that you do know, on things that you are an expert in, or things that have no consequences also, those work as well, I think is very important, and I think is fundamental as an artist. So what does trusting your guts mean? I'm going to tell you something that's really, really embarrassing. But anyway, when I was a teenager, I can't speak today, I don't know, sorry, my brain. When I was a teenager, I used to love watching those really, like, I don't want to criticize them because I really like them, but those TV shows where there were brides and they were choosing dresses, wedding dresses, like, you know, say yes to the dress kind of thing. There were the Italian versions of those. Some of them had actually quite wonderful clothes, I must admit, but most of them were quite ridiculous in hindsight, but I really liked them. And there was this thing about brides needing to know that their dress was their dress. You know, getting that feeling of knowing that that's the dress. And while I don't necessarily think that's that relevant for wedding dresses, I'm not married, so I haven't had that experience. I honestly don't think I will have that experience because spending that amount of money on a dress just feels unrealistic at the moment. I would rather go on holiday. So I don't think that's going to happen to me. Every time I try to, you know, put things into focus, it just, it doesn't add up. So I don't think I'm going to have that experience, but that was something probably nobody cares about knowing. But I know what's that feeling. I can say I think I'm an expert at knowing what that feeling is, because when you're an artist and you have to decide when something is done and when something is exactly how you want it to be, that's the exact feeling we're talking about. That feeling of just knowing. And there is no reason other than you just know. You just feel it. Because it's in your mind, it's a feeling, something's happening. I don't know. Did something happen? There were sounds on my computer. Hopefully nothing happened. But as I was saying, so this is a feeling that you need to look for and you need to listen to. Not only listen to in the sense of putting things into practice. So you feel that something's right for you and you continue to do it, or you do it, or you say, this is good enough, this is what I want it to be, and you stop. But also, I feel like one of the reasons in those, in my example, why brides really look for it is because they're told that they have to look for it. And we're not usually told that we have to look for it. Well, I think that, especially in art, this is what we should learn to do, because we don't need to train our hands and eyes into doing something that is necessarily numerically perfect, like geometric and something, you know, that a machine would do. I think especially in jewelry, that's super important because we have machines that are doing most of the jewelry nowadays. You know, they're all 3D printed, and having things made by software makes them perfect. There are other problems with that, and I won't like bore you with them because I could talk about them for ages, but I won't. But I think that because of that, there is kind of no reason to try to make something perfect in that sense, because a machine is going to make it for you. It's going to make it for cheaper, and it's going to make it more perfect than you can ever do with your hands, probably. I don't want to talk for other people. Maybe there are other people who do things like perfect. And 3D printing is never like 100% perfect. So, okay, but still, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. So I think it's very, very important to train the eyes into seeing beauty. And I talked about this a little bit when I did that very weird video on scissors, and how to like spot the details and how to find what your eyes like. But I feel like I didn't talk about this sensation of knowing when something is right, and knowing, okay, I've done it, this is how it's supposed to be, and I'm going to stop. Because sometimes you do feel that way, but then you get insecure, and maybe you have somebody else's feedback, and they tell you, yes, that's good, but maybe, you should do it a bit more like this, a bit more like that. And you just change your mind because of external validation, which obviously we all crave and need to some extent. But I think when we're talking about art, it's a very, very slippery slope. And I think it can be actually detrimental to your art. And again, this is not only for people who have small businesses and are creating art to sell. Actually, I think it's hard enough for them. Running a small creative business is hard enough. I would like this advice to go mostly to people who do it as a hobby and have the time and the means to just experiment and do stuff and believe in themselves enough to say, this is good, this is what I wanted it to be, and stop there. Or this is not what I wanted it to be, I still need that little thing, and go on. But getting to learn your instinct or your guts in a certain way, I think is what really is going to make it possible for you to express your artistic point of view. So I really, really believe this, and I actually, if I hadn't believed in this and believed that what my eyes were seeing had some value, and it was my vision and my vision was worth it, I would have never done my tiara, which I'm going to show you again just because I love it. It's over here in its little box. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Hello, baby. So this tiara that I made, and that is not for sale yet, but I will put, because I applied for a prize, and it's never going to win, never ever, because it's not like an art piece enough, I think the judges will think, but I love it, and I will take it with me to Philadelphia to just show it to everyone, just because I'm proud of it, without putting it, without being able to sell it. Anyway, the reason I'm showing you this is that this was selected for a prize in Milan. It was the first time I was selected for a prize, and I am really proud of it because, more than 500 people applied, and I was in the top 3. I didn't win, but I was in the top 3, and I received a lot of compliments. People seemed to really like it. So I really, really enjoyed both making it and how people talked about it. But because it's done, once it's done, people see what you see and understand it. But before it was finished and people saw how honestly beautiful it is, I think. Look at this. I mean, it's absolutely stunning in my opinion. But before people saw the end product, and by saying people, I mostly mean people that know me and love me and think that I am worth something as an artist and who believe in my capabilities. So I'm not talking about like people who want to push me down, but I'm talking about people who actually helped me. Those same people were telling me that nobody was gonna want a brass crown, and this is not only made of brass, it's made of brass, gold, yellow 18 karat yellow gold, fair mined obviously, 18 karat white gold, again still fair mined, a little bit of silver and some diamonds from the ocean in South Africa. So it's not only brass, but the main part of it is in brass. And they were telling me nobody's ever going to want a brass crown because it's neither here nor there. So it's not a cheap thing that is made of brass and is mass produced and that you can sell for cheap, but it's also not something that is made of gold and would be sold like at an auction. You know, it's somewhere in between. And they were telling me, we know that you're very strong-headed and you're going to do it anyways, but it's not a good idea. There's no point in you doing it. It makes no sense. And in my heart of hearts, I knew that this was going to be stunning because I saw it, because I knew how I want it to be. And honestly, I've seen so many iterations of this that I could make another 5 and have them all different and all equally stunningly beautiful. Like if somebody told me, I have this budget, like a big budget, and my dream would be to do this, but with all the flowers completely diamond encrusted. Like, you know, one of those tremblant brooches from the beginning of the 19th century. And I would do them all en tremblant, that they would just all, en tremblant means that they tremble, literally. And so basically the flowers or whatever it was, usually was like naturalistic kind of subject. They had a spring behind them, so if the object would move, they would like tremble. It's amazing, like one of my favorite kind of techniques. So I would love to do another one, and I feel like maybe I'll have the possibility to do it, and that's just because I literally trusted my guts. It took me 3 years to complete this and more than 4 months to like around 500 hours to do every single flower because everyone was handmade and everything, and I don't want to bore you with all of the details, but it took a lot of work. And everybody told me that it was absolutely, it made no sense because nobody was going to want a brass crown. And still, I trusted my guts, and I got nominated for a quite relevant prize from Louis Vuitton for the first time, and my company is only 3 years old. So, you know what I'm going to get at. So it was absolutely worth it. It was absolutely 100% worth it to follow my guts and create this. And even if nobody's gonna buy it, because it's very, selling a tiara is not as easy as selling a ring. We all know that. It's not that easy to just wear. But even if it didn't, even if it's never gonna be sold, I would kind of be relieved because I kind of love it and want to wear it. So it's still not, I haven't put it for it's not available to be bought yet, but I don't know if and when I'm gonna actually make it available. It's just my baby, you know, it's just very hard to separate from your baby. So I don't know. Anyway, that's irrelevant. But if I had never done it, I would have never like gone to Milan and be a finalist in one of these prizes. I would have never met the wonderful people that I met. We're doing some projects together, and it's just, it opened so many possibilities for me. And it was all because I trusted my guts, and I decided that even if nobody believed that this was going to be, it's not like they didn't think it was going to be beautiful. They told me, we trust you, you're going to make it beautiful. But they also told me it's a completely ridiculous project. But I just knew. And when you know, you know. And trusting your guts, I think, as an artist is the best thing you can do for yourself. Now I'm going to leave this here because I'm Italian, it just feels weird keeping my hands still while I talk. But so that being said, I think that trusting that you know what is good for your art and what's good for you can be very overwhelming because it's very lonely. Sometimes what you want to do aligns perfectly with what other people think you should do, and in those cases you have external validation and everything is like perfect. But some other times nobody believes that it's going to work. And in my opinion, those are the moments where you really need to just do it, you know. And when you, maybe this is only me, maybe this is just like my character, but when people start telling me that I can't do something, my first reaction is, okay, now I want to do it. And I think that happens to a lot of people. But my second reaction is trying to understand why I want to do it. So sometimes it's just out of spite. You tell me that I can't, and so I will. But other times it makes me understand how much I care about that thing, how important it is for me to create it. And obviously as artists and as business owners, because we are both, we don't always get the privilege of doing what we want to do. That's why it took me 3 years to create this crown, because I didn't have the time to just use 4 months of my work, my job, to create it. I couldn't stop for a month and just do that without having somebody pay for it. It's just, it's already an investment, but like the gold and the diamonds in it, I couldn't also put that amount of time. But when you feel like you have to do something and you feel that strongly that you're willing to put over maybe some time, you are willing to cut out some time and some resources to create that piece of art. I think those are the ones that really shine. And I think that those are always worth a shot. Even if you end up not being able to do them, you're going to learn so much about them, because usually those projects are the ones that are pushing your comfort zone, that are making you doubt what you're doing at the moment, what you want to do in your future, what kind of artist you want to be. And like for me, it's very important to understand what kind of artist I want to be. And the only way I can find out, in my opinion, is to try and do stuff and follow my guts and do more of the things that I can only do. You know, at the end of the day, being an artist is about being in some way unique, not necessarily as a person, but what you make, I think, has to have a clear point of view to be considered an artist. And it's difficult to have a point of view if you don't follow your guts. aesthetically, I think. Because since as artists we are using a language that is, the one I'm talking about is visual. Obviously you can be a writer or a musician and that's not visual. But if you're using a language that is visual, you need to have something that is in some way or another creating an emotion in the viewer. I believe that to be art. That's my personal definition of art. I don't think that something just because it was made or handmade is art. I think that really that art is going to give you some kind of emotion. It doesn't need to be a good emotion. It can be a bad emotion. Can be whatever kind of emotion. But I do think that that's the role of art, is a communication medium, but it's a communication of emotions rather than concepts most of the time. My idea around art is a bit more complex than this, but I won't go into it now because it's late, I'm tired, and I think nobody really wants to listen to me ramble about my philosophy of art. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you that if you know, you know, and if you know for a reason, and that reason, even if you don't completely understand it, it's worth trying. It's just worth it all the time for me. I've never really followed that gut sensation, and it has brought me to a wrong creative outcome. I've taken a lot of wrong decisions with trusting my guts. I've done that personally in my personal life. So that's up to you. I'm not going to advise you to do that because it did work sometimes, some other times it didn't, but yeah, I'm not here to give you that advice. But regarding art, I do think that that's good advice, and it's advice that I would give myself, and I think that I will always give myself. You know, in 10 years time I will still tell myself that, and I would have told myself that 5 years ago. So maybe it's just because I'm headstrong and I know what I like, but when I know, and it's a wonderful sensation, and it's absolutely 100% worth following it. I don't know, nobody's going to trust me on this, but it's fine, everybody is entitled to their own opinion and is entitled to do exactly what they want with their art. Art should be free. Art should be free for everyone and should be your personal language. You don't need to prove it to anybody else. You don't even need to show it to anybody else if you don't want to. So yeah, take what I have to say as you wish. You can think that I'm right, you can think that I'm wrong. It doesn't really matter, you know, as long as you're feeling that you're true to yourself regarding your art. I think that's what it should be. There are some types of arts that are very, very structured, and probably no, I still think there is a part of like gut feeling even then. I was thinking about Studio Drift. I don't know if you know them. They're a couple. They create the most wonderful installations. The one I love the most is the one with dandelions. I think it's amazing. They create these dandelions and they put like LED lights in them, and then they put the seeds of the dandelions over them. I saw them in an exhibition in Seoul, and it was absolutely mesmerizing. They also do other things that I also love the flowers. I don't know the name of them, but they're like flowers that fall from above. So they do this like whoosh when they fall down, and then they come up and the the textile they used is so perfect for what they intended, and it works beautifully. There are some other things that they do that I'm not like super excited about, but even them, who have this very, very mathematical approach, because it's very engineered, everything moves in a certain way, or some things move in a certain way. They also use like drones. They did, I think, one of the Burning Man installation this year or last year, I don't remember. But anyway, so it's very much mathematically controlled, but I still think that the idea, the completely mad idea of taking the seeds of dandelions and putting them on LED lights, which is absolutely stunning. I think that was a mad idea that somebody told them, don't do it, it's just a waste of time, it's not going to work, all of that. And they said, no, you know what, we think this is the right thing to do, and they just did it, and it's amazing. If I could, I would like have an installation all over my ceiling, maybe one day, you know. That's the thing I would really like to do, actually. Have like a space where I could put other artists' stuff, because now my workshop is just too cramped. You can see how much stuff is everywhere. It's not very much, it's not very refined, but I like it this way. But anyway, those are my 2 cents for today, and I hope some of you are going to trust me and just believe that other people's opinions are just that, their opinions, and just because they are telling you something, it doesn't mean that they know better than you. And your art is your art, and you're the person who's going to know why you're doing it, what you're doing, and what it's going to look like. So I'm not telling you to stop listening to people. Absolutely, it's great to listen to people, and it's great for people to give you constructive criticism. I really enjoy people who do that. I sincerely do. But I also think that there are times when you just know, and it's absolutely worth going down that route when you just know. So yeah, I'm going to go on and actually finish the necklace. Hopefully it's going to be completed by tomorrow. I have to clean it up and stuff like that. And so I'll see you then, hopefully. And I hope you have a lovely evening or rest of the day, wherever you're at in the world.